This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Monday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you as we recap the weekend. We got a lot to go over and also look ahead to the two Monday night games tonight. Got a lot of props for Dolphins, Jets, and Bengals, Broncos. Kind of a quiet night with no baseball. The transition day, regular season over, playoffs start tomorrow, but still a lot to go over today. So, Lee, with all of that being said, let's get to the first play of the day with it being a blowout in the Dolphins-Jets game.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
The Jets are winless. The Dolphins are winless. Something has to give tonight, right? I mean, something's happened. It can't have a tie like last night with Packers-Cowboys. You got to have a winner in this game tonight as the two teams meet at Hard Rock Stadium. Garrett Wilson of the Jets, we know what he can do. He's got his former Ohio State buddy, Justin Fields, back at quarterback. So, Lee, Garrett Wilson, yardage prop tonight. What do you like with that?
You never know, Kevin. Anything can happen with two bad teams. I mean, I think there was a game. I don't know if it was this or last week. It was 6-3 final. I think San Diego State and one of the MAC teams.
And Northern Illinois, I believe. Yeah.
So can you imagine sitting through that crap? Boring game. So, okay. So I don't love the game. So I'm going to look at a player prop. And I'm saying to myself, what is this greatest strength of the Jets? I think it's Garrett Wilson. I think he's the best player. What is Miami Dolphins' biggest weakness? Cornerbacks. So I look at Pro Football Focus. I trust my eyes watching games. I will tell you this. I don't think there's any Dolphin cornerback on their roster that would be a top 4, top 5 cornerback on any team in the NFL. They are that bad. So you have the greatest strength of the Jets against the greatest weakness of the Dolphins. Garrett Wilson's numbers are 63.5. He was 80, 85. I'd shy away, but I think they're going to go to him early and often, and I think he's going to be open. I think he is one of those 7 or 8 receivers that's unguardable. So I'm going to go Garrett Wilson, over 63.5 receiving yards. He might get it by the end of the third quarter. Blowout special.
I know we're not giving out sides on this game, but just want to throw this out, though, Lee, that I'm not going to say the Jets are turning any corner. They're not. They're 0-3. They did lead the Steelers late. They did lead the Buccaneers late. The Bills blew them out. The Bills are an elite team. But in the other two games, they were there. They've been there more than the Dolphins have really been there. And I get the Dolphins could have tied the game late against Buffalo if Tua doesn't throw that pick. But I feel like the Jets have been a little bit more competitive than the Dolphins so far.
I would agree. Dolphins only competitive in one game. The question is, if the Dolphins lose, do they fire McDaniel and their GM Greer after the game? It might be interesting to see the Dolphins fan really booing the team, and you might see some smuggled signs in the stadium, people holding up some signs or maybe some bags over their heads. This is a proud franchise. There's other franchises, that have been sad sacks, but the Dolphins franchise, they're still selling out season tickets. So that's the way I look at it. But this is probably a game that's going to come down to the last possession. So, unlike the Cowboys game where everyone expected Green Bay to win that game big, this is different. And there's another game to watch tonight. And so if it's boring, that's why you have 2 TVs. I can mute the Dolphins and Jets game.
Well, Bengals, Broncos, we're going to talk about a couple plays in that game in just a little bit. And I do like the 2 Monday night games, give you at least another option to watch. Now, let's recap the weekend. There's so much to go over, Lee. First, we're going to do the UFC first. Okay, so you hit your 2 plays on the show with UFC Perth in Australia. So you keep staying on fire with that.
And they both were easy. Yeah. Carlos Olberg, we said that he would win, and first round knockout. I mean, one of his first punches, 1-2 combinations, first round, boom, over. Easy winner. We had the over and the Magny Matthews fight went over. Public loved the under. And so we're 2-0 there. We went 5-2 on the card for our clients, hit our big 35-unit max wager there. We've now won 14 of the last 17 UFC fights. It was a big pay-per-view, huge pay-per-view from Vegas this weekend. Starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll have at least 2 selections, free selections. So you want to listen in, and we could have a huge selection going for our paid clients. So I know people out there listen and they enjoy, and we give them a lot of action. I'm not going to give you every bet that I have. I'm not going to give you all my best bets because I've got to save those for my clients and, be fair to them. Otherwise, they just listen to the show and not have to sign up. So if you're waiting in the wings for the UFC or football, I'm happy that I'm winning for you, but I usually do a little or a lot better for my paid clients.
Now let's look back at college football, Lee. We end up going, you and I, 4-3. I'll take the hit on this one because I had South Alabama as my lone play, and they had a shot to cover against North Texas. North Texas ended up going down and scoring to cover. So take me away. For you, you went 4-2 on your 6 plays here on the show. So let's go over those plays. We're going to do the losers first, okay? Air Force against Hawaii, and then, a lot of people don't really pay attention to that one, but Penn State, they had a shot there to cover if they would have won in overtime against Oregon. They took the lead in the first overtime. Oregon scored, and then Oregon scored again in the second overtime. But you're high on Oregon, though, as a team that just really the score was misleading there, the game going to double overtime.
Very misleading. They should have been up 28-3 after 3 quarters. Their offensive and defensive lines dominated. They've always had good quarterbacks, good skill players. Their offensive and defensive lines, in my opinion, are the best in the country combo. They're the best team right now. They should have won that game big. So that was an absolute aberration, the score. Drew Allar is garbage. He'll still get drafted second, third round. Anyone drafting him first round is wasting their money. He does not have championship DNA. So there's certain guys, Drew Allar and his head coach, James Franklin, just can't get it done. They're never going to win anything. Allar is a fantastic talent. He's going to go to the combine and he's going to throw the ball 75, 80 yards. And people are going to be like, wow, just doesn't have it upstairs. I've seen it playing football. I've seen guys that have that talent. I played with a guy in college. He could throw the ball 75 yards, had a 5-cent brain, and just, might have wanted to win, but didn't have that DNA. So that's the way I look at that. Oregon was the first game. What was the other game we lost?
Air Force, Hawaii.
Yeah. All right. So let me tell you about that game. We never were going to cover. But Air Force, here's some mistakes that coaches make. First drive down the field, trailing 7-0. They get to like the 7-yard line, I think. 4th and 2, he goes for it. Should have taken the field goal. Stay in the game. As soon as that happened, they were in trouble. And then they had a chance to take the lead, I believe, or tie the game. They were probably not going to cover the 6.5. They do a 4th and like 4 or 2, something like that. They're at the opponent's maybe 45-yard line and did a throwback to the running back. And the guy, there was no one within 25 yards, drops the ball. No one near him. So, the coach and player fail combination for Air Force losing that game, but their defense is garbage. Wrong play.
Now let's go to the winners. Let's start with Ohio State because that was a close game for a bit. Now, Ohio State opened up against Washington. It just shows you kind of, I hate to use the term, but kind of like a class difference there. Ohio State went to Seattle, very tough place to play, but the Buckeyes just cruised to a victory there, opened up in the second half.
Yeah, and Smith, their star receiver, who will be the number 1 draft pick, in my opinion, not first pick in the entire draft. He would have gone probably first last year as a true freshman. Those guys take over. So Washington, I said, is a year or 2 away. Really good quarterback, running back, receiver. Those 3, 1 or 2 decent guys on defense. They just don't have enough elite players. The public loved it. The handicappers that go by, this home team and their record. They've won so many games at home. But Ohio State, just a much better and deeper team.
There's a reason why Ohio State's laying nearly 10, I think, when it all was said and done. The other three were all from the SEC, highlighted by Alabama, and just the ownership, I should say. Doesn't matter who the coach is. Saban, DeBoer, Bear Bryant, doesn't matter who the coaches of Alabama is. Kirby Smart beat him in the national championship, but that's it. Everything else has been a loss. Bama, South Carolina, and A&M all were winners for you. Which one stuck out for you the most? I mean, I would think it'd be Alabama, but which one stuck out for you the most?
Well, Alabama, yeah, obviously just the better team. They deserved to win probably by 10 points. Didn't put them away. South Carolina was playing a really bad Kentucky team. I think Stoops he's on the hot seat. Kentucky and Arkansas, who fired their coach, Sam Pittman, they got to make a decision. Do you want to join the arms race? Do you want to pony up and go after it? Otherwise, you're going to be a bottom feeder. You're going to be a bottom 3, bottom 4 team in the SEC forever. So if I was Arkansas, I'd get a head start on it. I'd go after John Gruden. I'd hire him in the next couple of weeks if you want to have a chance to win it and be in that, at least in the top half. So they got money there in Arkansas. Trust me, a lot of money. They've been spending on the basketball program. I would go with John Gruden. People are like, oh, he's not going to be around for long. Yeah, he may not be around for that long, 3-4 years, but he might elevate you to the top half. And Kentucky, they got to decide. They spend it on basketball, so why not football? Think Stoops was great. He does more with less, but they've reached a plateau. A couple other games, college. Want to make quick comments about USC. Lincoln Riley needs to stop crying about playing an early start. You know what? You're playing Illinois. You weren't playing Ohio State. Find ways to win the game. So you want to accept all that cash? You want to join the Big Ten? That's the way it is. And then LSU, not so hot. Garrett Nussmeier hasn't done anything, has not had one close to good game. So he could have elevated his team. LSU, give Ole Miss credit. They're ranked 4th in the country.
And also, too, with USC, you still were winning. If Illinois misses the field goal at the end, you win the game. So it's not like you got blown out. And again, the Big Ten's a national conference now. It's not a Midwestern conference. So this is what you wanted. You could have been in the Pac-2, but now you're in the Big Ten. So I don't like the complaining. I really don't from those teams. Like, what you signed up for. So coming up, we still have a lot to get to. We'll preview tomorrow's American League wild card, the first game, Tigers and Guardians at 1:00. We'll talk about that. Also, Bengals, Broncos, couple plays on that game as well. All of that is straight ahead. You are listening to Locked On Bets. We love our FanDuel here, so we're going to talk about them again. And NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And what are the choices? They're endless. You have 2 games tonight in Monday Night Football, Jets, Dolphins. You could take the side, the total, the money line in that game. You could take Tua over his yardage. You could take Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson. So many choices in that game. Bengals, Broncos, the late game with Bo Nix and see what he could do. Jake Browning on the Bengals side with those player props. Also, updated numbers as well for awards. Josh Allen, -105 as of this morning. As far as the MVP in the NFL, Lamar Jackson got hurt. He was right behind him. He's down to 9-1. Justin Herbert has jumped to 6-1 from the Chargers. So you have those awards. Also, Puka Nacua of the Rams, he is the leader for Offensive Player of the Year. He's at 3-1 at FanDuel. And also you have Super Bowl odds. They are updated every day. And the Buffalo Bills, no shocker, at +440 going into today at FanDuel. Eagles right behind at 6-1. And my question is, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. We continue here, Locked On Bets on a Monday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. So the Major League Baseball playoff field is set, and we will have our first play of the playoffs that is coming up. And let's go to our hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
Figure we would get to this now since they play at 1:00 on Tuesday. If we do it tomorrow. We'll have a shorter window, so I'll tell you about it now. Tigers Guardians. We're going to take the under of 3 runs in the first 5 innings coming up on Tuesday. Now, Tarek Skubal, there's been some injury concerns with him, but he has absolutely silenced the Cleveland Guardians. In 4 starts this year in the first 5 innings, Lee, he's allowed a total of 1 run. So he has had in 20 innings, 1 run he's allowed against the Guardians. Now, Cleveland has not announced a starter yet for this game, but I still think this is going to be a low-scoring game out of the gate. Skubal shut him down last year in the playoffs when they met. And I will say this, that I think Detroit can get over the meltdown thing if they just win this series. They can hit the reset button and be fine. I think it's the perfect opponent for them, Lee, because if they beat Cleveland, then, all right, you won the division. Congratulations, we're advancing. But if they lose this series, then the meltdown is complete. So it's all right in front of them. Guardians had a great finish to the season. No one is disputing that. Stephen Vogt did an unbelievable job to get Cleveland back on track. But Tarek Skubal just owns them. So first 5 innings, game 1, Tigers Guardians on Tuesday. Let's go with the under of 3 runs.
Love it. And I think there's going to be a lot of different great player props here also in this Major League Baseball playoffs. So we've had a great year there. How about this? They want to hop on board player props. It was $250 going into the weekend from now through the World Series. $97. That's right, $97. All my player props, and you got so many rounds. You got 3 big rounds. You got more teams now. With the wild card being expanded. It's not like it's 3 games playing either for the wild card. So $97 was $250 before the weekend. Just my way of saying thank you for listening. And you can have some fun and make a whole lot of money with these player props. And same with football. We went 7-1. We've had 1 losing weekend in the NFL and college football player props, 7-1 over the weekend. I'll lower that to $497 through the Super Bowl. You're going to generally get 10 to 12 every single weekend. So you want to maximize your profits. Major League Baseball props, $97 through the World Series. NFL and college football player props, $497 for like 6 months.
Now, let's go over really quick before we get to the Monday Night Football, your baseball plays, your some season win totals, some adjusted totals, division odds that you had at the All-Star break. You did pretty well, 3-0, perfect 3-0 in those games, or those teams, rather. Yeah,
it's taken a while to grade them, but Milwaukee win the division, not like a minus 150 or minus 250. They were plus 240. Milwaukee wins the division. Easy winner there. Angels under 76.5 wins. I told you they're going to fall apart. It's a horrible franchise. That's an easy winner. And then the third winner, Phillies, over 93.5 wins. Class team. No one's talking about them winning it all. They go over there also. So 3-0 on our player props that we gave out, during the Major League All-Star break.
And also, too, the Brewers were 1 behind the Cubs, which was it's not like they had a great comeback. They were 1 back, and then they went on that run and eventually opened things up and cruised that division title. All right, Monday Night Football, Bengals, Broncos, the second game tonight in Denver. And let's look at a player prop. Not wrong team favored, but wrong player favored.
What the
WTF.
Courtland Sutton of the Broncos, Lee. What do you like with his prop tonight of receptions?
So Courtland Sutton is under 5.5 receptions or over 5.5 receptions. That's a high price tag here, but I think it's worth it. So I think the game script here should have the Broncos running a ton, and their passing game has not been great, and then they like to push the ball down the field. Sutton is not a high-volume receiver. He's not a guy that they do hitch routes with, 5 and outs. They push the ball down the field with him. So my model has him right around 4 receptions. I ran a bunch of different models at like 3.8 to 4.2. 5.5, we're going to go under 5.5 receptions. He's a good receiver. Courtland Sutton, he might have a bunch of yards, but the key is under 5.5 receptions here in the game against, like I said, the Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be my wrong player favored, Wrong team favored normally. I think we cashed this one easy.
And we didn't mention it before with the recap. We kind of concentrate on college football, but with NFL, we went 1-1 yesterday. We also hit with the Seahawks on Thursday. Kenneth Walker was a loser on the rushing prop. The Seahawks, they blew that lead. They came back and kicked the game-winning field goal. Still was a winner. They were laying 1.5. But yesterday, Lee, we had the Giants and the Packers. And we'll start with the Giants. And I had talked about this on Friday. I didn't have a lot of substantial stats and numbers in this game. Sometimes in handicapping, it's just about situations. The situation broke right for the Giants with Jackson Dart starting. The Chargers off 3 straight divisional wins off the walk-off win against the Broncos. Giants, and they were terrible in prime time, now playing an afternoon game at MetLife Stadium. I think it all just worked out, and the Giants ended up playing very well. Lost Malik Neighbors, which is going to hurt long-term, but the Giants get the win outright as a dog.
Right. They had to play the whole second half without him, so they still covered. They have I said, I told you, after you went over the game, they have a really good defensive line, top 5 defensive line. They were harassing quarterback all afternoon. So that was a great situational spot. I even gave it for my clients. We both loved the game. And Jackson Dart, the running threat certainly was a problem for them. So great hit there.
Now, the Packers, unfortunately, couldn't come through because they tied the Cowboys, but they were up early, and they just, what it was? You almost feel like that blocked extra point taken back for the 2 got Dallas a little bit of momentum there in the first half.
Yeah, it went from a 14-point spread, if they make the extra point, to 11-point spread. That's crazy that a blocked extra point. I was thinking the same thing could totally change a game around, but let them hang around. And Jordan Love, if you look at his stats, he was great. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He wasn't great if you watched him. So he missed some open receivers. He also had some misreads. So that you're not going to get that. There's a lot of guys that are into analytics, and the analytics look great on him. But he was not great in that game. And I even had him for my fantasy quarterback. So he was great that way, but not great. That's crazy. You see a quarterback scores 40 points in a game, you're thinking he was great, and he wasn't. I mean, it also includes overtime. But there was a lot of points that were left out there. So, yeah, Green Bay, I think, is still good, but they're going to have to learn from that. I mean, I'm sure Jerry Jones is semi-happy, and I still think he made the wrong decision. He was trying to, on the pregame, saying, we traded Herschel Walker, too, for a lot of draft capital. Yeah, but Herschel Walker was in his 30s, 30, 31, 32. Difference is Micah is just 25 years old. So I still think it's a mistake. Give Dallas credit for battling back, but should have won, I think, that one if the script played differently. And then there's some other storylines in games. I thought Tampa's injuries certainly cost them the Philly game. I think if they were completely healthy, I think they probably win that game, even though I had Philly. You got to look at injuries. Sometimes it's a big part of the game. I think Kansas City's back. Worthy's back. They're going to get Rice back shortly, and they look like they're ready to go. Their defense is that great. Mahomes was better than ever. And Baltimore is reeling, not just on the defensive side, also offensively and mentally. And think that poor Giants, getting back to that game, Jackson Dart, positive, but no Malik Neighbors going forward. And so some of that excitement and the crowd was into the game certainly has to be tempered.
Yeah, and we'll see what they do. Giants and Saints coming up next week at the Superdome. The Saints played well enough, but ended up losing to Buffalo on Sunday. Let's look at one more player, or actually a team prop that's coming up coming up next as we continue here with Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Monday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. So Bengals, Broncos tonight in Denver. Cincinnati just destroyed at Minnesota last week. We'll see if they can bounce back here. Jake Browning making his second start. Joe Burrow on the shelf for the next few months. So let's go to our lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
The Bengals, Lee, you're not going to look at the side, but instead a prop on them with their amount of touchdowns scored. So what do you like with that tonight?
So if you look at the total points, the total on the game is 44. Total's 44. That means you're going to see a score like 27-17. You're going to see 24-21, 23-20. unless Cincinnati lays in a complete egg, and I don't think that they are. I like Jake Browning. If you watch him, if you saw a number 9 on his jersey and didn't know that Joe Burrow was out, you would think it's Joe Burrow. He almost emulates him perfectly. So not quite the talent, but I still think he's one of the better backups. Sometimes, people bet against these quarterbacks for a couple weeks after the star quarterback goes out. But usually the second game, the backup settles in. Like I said, I think he's one of the better ones. If you look at last year when Burrow was hurt, he had some really good games here. So I think the Denver defense is good, but hasn't been playing great. And he has a good supporting cast. So, he has probably the best receiver in football. And his second choice is probably top 15, top 20. So with that said, I could see them, unless they kick a bunch of field goals, I could see them scoring at least 2 touchdowns. So we're going to go over 1.5 touchdowns for the Cincinnati Bengals. Level 1 lock to start the week.
All right, and you've been on fire in the NFL, just a crazy run. Paramount Sports now finishing up week 4. Week 5 starts on Thursday, and then college football resumes then. So, Lee, Paramount Sports just doing a great job heading into your favorite month, October.
Yep, it is just a couple days away. So by Wednesday, we'll be into not October, Locktober. They can get the entire month, normally $497. If you use coupon code SAVE100, just $397. Works out to less than $100 for a weekend. We have won 11 straight NFL games. That's right, 11 straight NFL games for our clients. So looks like we're going to have a big release there. Also, this coming weekend, I spotted one huge game. Can't give it out on the show. It's that big. So you want to hop on board. We have fun here on the show. Going to give you a lot of selections, but saving this one for my clients. So now's the time to pony up and join us. 11 straight winners for Paramount Sports in the NFL. Locktober special, all the other specials in baseball, the player props, or just the World Series. And, you can get everything there. Both of those player props, Major League Baseball, and also our selections through the World Series, just $97 there. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets, as we head into October with Major League Baseball playoffs starting. Also, the NHL starts up next week, NBA in a few weeks. So very busy time of year. Obviously, the NFL and college football taking center stage, and also our podcast as well. You can find on Spotify and also Apple or wherever you find your podcast. Lee is on X at Paramount Sports. I am on X at Rogers Picks. And again, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday for another edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.